Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for a shoulder day on my power building training. So today, I went with a standing press. I only did two actual work sets today. I feel like I don't need a lot of standing pressing. This is really just a strength-based exercise. It's not as much of a big hypertrophy movement for me. So again, a lot of those movements I'm doing a little less volume. So that I can focus more on the exercises that are going to put the most muscle on me. And quite frankly, standing press is great. And I like to start with these heavy barbell movements, but they don't need a lot of volume. All right, we're going to do laterals, we're going to do front raises, all that stuff to work those muscles. So again, I ended up doing 8 reps with 135, all paused. Then I went up to 155 here. I managed to get 4 reps. Now I know that my strict standing press is weaker than it was a long time ago, and I know that it's not quite as good as my bench and incline at the moment, and that's okay, but it's only going to get better by 1, training it, 2, by continuing to just build my shoulders up. And that's going to come from a lot of other exercises. So after that, we went over to upright rows. This first set, I was not happy with it. I felt like I just wasn't going high enough. So I corrected that on the next 2 sets, right? So sets 2 and 3, I tried to take them a lot higher, really focus on getting it up there, getting a better range of motion. So in a way, this is almost a warm-up set. Now it was pretty much a limit set. I only had maybe a rep or 2 left, but the next 2 sets, I'm like, let's really try to push this a little bit further. I want to get that top range of motion because that's an area I'm really weak with just in terms of my mobility and everything. I really do struggle with that due to a lot of stuff happening in my shoulders. So I'm like, let's make sure that we really focus on trying to get a bit higher, right? So we drive it up, trying to do that. Something I've noticed, I need warm-ups to do that. I've been doing off-camera a little bit of loo raises, and my first rep or so, I literally can't do one. I have to cheat and make everything crackle into place for a couple reps. Then I'm able to do them, and I'm talking even with a 2.5 or a 5-pound plate. So again, I need to keep working on that stuff, and it's only going to happen by kind of forcing it a little bit. Again, did sets of 10 here. These next 2 sets were a lot better. I felt like I was able to get a little bit better range of motion. Now, obviously, we can only go so high, but at least I felt like these were full reps relative to my range of motion. So something that took a warm-up set kind of to get there. But we're going to count it as a work set. We ended up doing 15 total sets for delts today, which I think is again quite reasonable considering my training overall is really high volume with some exercises and some muscles. I almost feel like that's not enough, but realistically, that's really kind of our optimal. All right, that's our optimal. And keeping in mind only 2 of those were front presses. Everything else was a little more smaller direct movements. Considering the amount of pressing and pulling we do, I think that we're in a good spot. Why? Because, well, we do 15 sets for chest. All right, and that hits the front delts and a little bit of side delts, especially all that incline. It's mostly incline, pullovers and stuff. Same thing with the pulling. I do 12 sets for my lats, and that's not counting pullovers. That's not counting deadlifts. It's not counting any of that stuff. So I did 12 sets for lats, which is going to hit quite a bit of rear delt. So I do want to make sure the side delts really, really get hit. So a lot of these exercises are geared towards doing that, and then rear delts to some extent. Most of these movements do work rear delts. So I ended up only doing 4 sets of isolation for them. But your context, all the side delt exercises hit them, laterals hit them, upright rows hit them. These count as rear delt exercises. So it really is 10 sets, not counting all that rowing and pull-ups and stuff we do. Laterals, I decided I wanted to take these a little stricter. So I dropped the weight down slightly and did these kind of as strict as I possibly could. And I was only able to get 10s. Now I normally go a hair heavier and I'm able to get 12s or so. But in this case, I tried to make these as strict as I possibly could. Right? We wanted them as strict as possible. I'm trying to just get that delt pump. And again, we're doing a lot of volume here. I got over to the shrugs and I'm like, I need to go heavier on shrugs. So I decided to strap up because I did this first set and I felt like my grip, because of the overhand grip, was limiting me. And I've realized, a couple exercises I do want to strap up just to make sure we're really hitting everything. Look, I'm doing good mornings. I'm doing reverse hypers. I feel like my low back is fine. I can deal with axial loading. Recovery's on point. So, again, we're doing overhead pressing, we're doing shrugs. So even my barbell rows, I almost feel like my grip is getting a lot of training every week. Okay, especially that I'm adding the hanging leg raises and stuff back in. I feel like barbell rows might be an example of something also I can get away with strapping. I'll keep the dumbbell rows, seal rows, pull-ups, no straps, right? But shrugs, maybe my bent over rows might benefit from it. So the shrugs, it definitely did. I was able to get sets of 8 with 315. Okay, this felt like my traps were failing, and I'm surprised I'm that weak. So it's kind of like this is one of those movements where it's like, well, maybe I need to get these shrugs up to 400 to 500 pounds. Because my traps stand to grow, sure. And I have to look at that. Yes, I need the delts to grow, but we are training the delts. Delts are getting 15 sets. 15 sets for delts, not counting all my pushing and pulling through the week. And if we take the front pressing out, what is 13 sets? That's a lot of volume. So I do want to make sure everything fully develops. My shoulder curl, everything. That's why with arms, I'm doing 4 types of curls every week. I have 2 arm days. So we know arms need the most work, right? We all agree. That's why my biceps and triceps get 2 days. And I decided not to do forearm work on this day. I get so much pulling. They're getting work. So I feel like my separate arm day, it's a good time to work in just some extra forearm work. But here's where we're at. I need to train every single muscle top to bottom, okay? I need to isolate every muscle. I'm even doing some pec isolation, even though I do flat bench, incline bench with both barbell and dumbbell. Right, I'm throwing in incline flies. All right, we're isolating all 3 heads of the delts. So we're doing these front raises, which I look pretty jacked doing these right now. So we know we're getting leaner, diet's working. All right, we know the diet's working. So if we're going to isolate all 3 heads of the delts, shouldn't I isolate the traps too? I'm isolating both sets of the forearm muscles, flexors, extensors. We're isolating every muscle. I mean, I'm doing quads. The only thing I'm not isolating is hamstrings, but I have a glute ham raise that's close enough. I'm doing glute ham raises after good mornings and deadlifts. I feel like I'm at a point where if I want to truly maximize my aesthetics as I get leaner and actually look like a bodybuilder instead of like a power lifter who dieted down, we need to isolate every single muscle in the body. Every muscle in the body needs compound movements. I should probably isolate everything, or at least one exercise. So we can do leg extensions, shrugs, some rear delts, side delts. Arms need the most, but we're doubling down on that. Here I am again, neck training. And I went ahead and just went heavier with the 55 today instead of the 45. I'm like, let's just take the sets to failure. Everything was at least 10 reps. I think I got about 17 or so the first set. You lose count. But again, let's go ahead and isolate those neck extensors, which we know has benefits. Doing ab work every workout. I'm not even worried about trying to get a small waist. I just need to get leaner. If I just get leaner, who cares if my abs get even blockier and thicker? Nobody cares. I'll just look jacked. And I think that's the name of the game. People only get that grotesque, blocky look in general when they're using too much insulin, too much IGF-1, all that stuff. I'm not doing any of that. So quite frankly, I'm just not worried about it. So yeah, I'm going to train my core more and more. Everything's going to get trained. And we're doing a lot of standing work. I don't care if it loads my spine. We recover from it. I have reverse hypers for that. I have hanging leg raises. We get plenty of traction stuff. Let's just get jacked as hell all the way across the board. And then continue to get strong because I have a handful of lifts I do go really heavy on. Squat, bench, deadlift. And then I'll do some overhead press that way. Good mornings, incline. But everything else, we get in, let's isolate everything. Every muscle in my body really needs at least 15 sets, I think. A minimum 12. Hamstrings and stuff get away a little less for me right now. But most of the muscles in my body, I mean, they could really use 15 or more sets. Okay? And we end up getting that when you really start adding it up. And a lot of it's going to need to be isolation. So again, rear delts here. And I decided to do these instead of the incline flies. So I'm just going to grab a nice light plate. Just bend over. It's easy to set up. And just get in and just work the rear delts. These end up being 15 plus reps. And these are still pretty strict. So again, the trick is get over pretty far. Turn your pinky up. And just work that rear delt. So again, isolate all three heads. Build everything. Like I really just need everything to get bigger. I mean, obviously arms need the most work. You know, shoulders up there, upper chest could use more, all of it could use more, but arms highest priority. But everything needs to grow. I need to gain muscle across the board, lose fat. So again, we need to be looking at everything. Is my long head of my tricep getting enough work? Are my rear delts getting enough work? You know, or my forearms getting enough work? Just get in and do it. But I think things like the shrugs, I need to just get strong as hell with those. Same thing with the barbell rows. Let's bodybuilder it up. They get a little sloppy on the bent over rows. Who cares? Because I'm going to do pull-ups and seal rows. Those are strict. So we can get those big movements. Okay, we can get those big movements. Might even eventually do my strict press with a little bit of leg drive. Who cares? So then just to finish off the rear delts, because I do like the band pull-aparts, I went heavier, so I only got about 10 or 11 reps. Did a set of heavy band pull-aparts just to finish the rear delts. Then I did one set of hanging leg raises. I'm trying to do leg raises at the end of all 6 of my workouts now. I think that would be a good idea. Continue to build the core up. So really happy with today's workout. Everything's flowing well. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.